The first lionfish caught in the territory's waters was in November of 2008. Now their numbers have increased exponentially, and their population, if left unchecked, will have a disastrous trickle-down effect on the territory. But the problem varies from island to island, and one group has decided to take matters into their own hands. Our Newsline 340 reporter, Erica Bivens, spoke with many individuals who are out there catching lionfish on their own time and money.
We're talking about a fish that can populate an area from 6 inches to 1,000 feet, so it's a big range. Here on St. Croix, we have walls that fall off to 13,000 feet. We have fish in any of those ranges. They like to travel the deep currents, so there's no way to put a number to that.
Not knowing just how many lionfish we have is part of the problem. Joseph Gooley is the president of an organization called CORE. It stands for the Caribbean Oceanic Restoration and Education Foundation. Though it is a nonprofit, it's been a leader in the fight against lionfish.
We have 5 board members and 3 dive coordinators and program directors across the USVI, and around 75 to 100 divers that are diving full-time between all 3 islands. We take response divers and search divers that we've trained. We team them up in pairs. We've covered the west end of the island twice. And as you saw, we've been in this particular area for 4 weeks now, or 4 or 5 dives at least. But the whole purpose is to just keep diving it until we get down to the point we don't see the fish anymore. Then we'll move on to the next area, and then we've been doing this from Sandy Point to Hams Bluff.
The number of lionfish caught on St. Croix alone is staggering. Sometimes up to 50 lionfish may be caught in just one dive, which is why the nonprofit began on St. Croix. However, with the lionfish spreading, John Rubatino has stepped up as the St. Thomas Corps director. And what's the latest situation here on St. Thomas in regards to the number of lionfish here?
This is only Caribbean Lionfish Response Program numbers that I'm talking about, because I'm not aware of what other entities' numbers are at. But as of January, I started this in April of last year, 2010, and from April 2010 to the end of December, we had 170 fish for the total of last year. Right now, total, starting from April 2010, stopping right today, we are at 492 or 3, so we're almost at 500 fish. So we more than doubled in the last 6 months what we got last year.
Rubatino says even though the catch numbers have been increasing, it could mean one of 2 things. Either the invasion is increasing or the amount of people going out extracting the fish is increasing.
I think it may be more of a combination of both. There's more people getting in the water pulling these fish out with proper training, and we're also seeing being pushed in further and further in towards our shorelines.
Due to the amount of lionfish that are being caught, Rubatino believes educating the public is a very important part of their program.
Well, the main thing with our program is education and eradication. So forefront with the education, putting about all the materials to help explain a little bit better for people with posters and postcards so that they have a visual identification of the fish and a phone number who they could call. With education, we've been doing lots of public awareness presentations, also coupled in with lionfish search training, as well as we've been branching out and trying to get in with schools.
Many fishermen and local divers like Gregory Pettengill, who have gone through the training with Rubatino, frequently bring in lionfish they catch.
He gave me some information about the lionfish. I heard a little bit about it. Been diving a lot. I've never seen one. And then about a year ago, I saw one, called him, said I wasn't trained yet. Said, hey, there's one out here, and he came out and showed, got it, recovered it, and that was my first one, like a year ago. And so then, from then on, I did my training. I'm now a responder. John trained me, and I've now, as of yesterday, I've got 35 lionfish, and I don't do it full time. I do it for volunteer.
Another volunteer, Carl Pitlick, is the Corps director on St. John. Like Rubatino and Gooley, Pitlick also does educational awareness and dive training to alert the public about the lionfish situation, which is a bit different from the other islands. St. John has a bit of a different challenge because we do have the national park here. Kind of explain that situation.
We have the national park and the national monument. It's illegal to have pole spears or spear guns within the boundaries. So they've actually given us a permit for the Corps Foundation to go out with modified pole spears to be able to remove the fish and make it easier. The park doesn't have enough resources to really get out there actively to be removing the fish. So the Corps is a support group, kind of a friends group in that aspect to the park.
And has that been beneficial with the permits?
Absolutely. It makes it a lot easier. We were trying to use nets. The biggest thing is being respectful to what's happening out there and protecting our natural resources. So what we also learned with the nets is it's hard to get into some of the holes that the lionfish like to creep into. And you also risk hitting the coral with the nets. So with the pole spear, much more direct way and actually of retrieving the fish and just getting it out without damaging the coral. And it saves a lot of time as well. A lot of our volunteers, like myself, we don't get paid for any of this. So we work regular jobs, then we try to get out there and deal with the fish as we can. But if we have to be underwater for a long time with nets, it can tie us up pretty good, and sometimes we can risk losing the fish.
But with their modified spear guns, there's not much hope for the lionfish.
What we did is we took a spear gun and we detuned it so it wouldn't shoot as far to be more friendly to the marine environs. We tethered it so it can only leave the gun by about 12 inches, so its max range is only about 3 feet. But by detuning it, it only is very forceful for about 18 inches. And then, as you witnessed today, the lionfish is a very tough fish. So we designed a 6-pointed trident with very close tangs so the fish cannot get off. And it's proved to be very, very effective because even the big fish, you catch them in the tail, they just simply can't escape.
Now, are there or have there been any new developments as far as lionfish? Are we seeing more, less, bigger, smaller? What's the case with that?
Well, first of all, people have stopped misidentifying them. Generally, any call that me or the volunteers go out to, it's always a lionfish. Probably the first 6 months that wasn't happening. There was a lot of misidentification going on between scorpionfish, and there's flying gurnards and even some of the big feather duster worms that are down there. But yes, I'd say we were pretty much finding them between 5 and 8 inches. Now the norm is a lot bigger. Usually 7, 8, and 9 inches is what we've been finding lately.
Corps divers have gone through special training to hunt lionfish, and even though they don't get paid for their work, they do it for different reasons.
It's important because these fish have no natural predators. Humans are the only thing that can go out and reduce their numbers. It's not about eradicating them, which is an impossibility, but it's about making some attempt to reduce their numbers in the wild.
Bottom line, I love to dive, and Corps gives you opportunity to do quite a lot of diving. Unlike the usual places, you go different places, unique areas on the island. So that's basically it.
Though these volunteers have been at the forefront of the lionfish hunt, the Department of Planning and Natural Resources Fish and Wildlife Division was the one who first took on the issue.
Well, DPNR's role in the lionfish effort as a whole is that we're the ones who actually began the whole effort. When the first lionfish was caught, the Division of Fish and Wildlife was the agency that identified the fish and began the efforts at getting the information out to the public. And within a matter of weeks, the commercial fishermen knew about the Indo-Pacific lionfish invasion.
William Coles is the Chief of Environmental Education for the DPNR's Fish and Wildlife Division. Coles says they came up with a comprehensive lionfish plan, which can be found on their website.
And that was developed by DPNR with funding through the VI EBSCOR at UVI. We had a lot of dive shops, commercial fishermen, and people from the just general public who were involved with the development of this plan. So it was a very nice, comprehensive effort to create it. We held public meetings on St. Thomas and on St. Croix to try and even St. John to try and get as much information from the public as possible. But at that point, we'd only caught a few lionfish, and most of those were on St. Croix.
Together, DPNR and Corps, along with many other organizations, are tackling the lionfish issue. Even still, their efforts will not completely wipe out the species. Their goals are merely to keep the numbers in check. Creativity has led some to even begin a catch-and-eat lionfish program. There are even lionfish cookbooks. Since they are not poisonous, only having venomous spines that can be cut off, many people are considering this alternative. However, that's not an option we can consider here.
We're really proud at this moment to be hooking up with the FDA to test the lionfish for ciguatera testing to help with the scientific community's attempts to check out the levels of ciguatera in the lionfish.
But so far, that verdict is grim. 4 out of 7 lionfish that were tested here in the territory tested positive for the ciguatera toxin. Since the poison is heat resistant, even cooking the fish does not get rid of it.
Ciguatera is a poisoning when you eat the food, kind of like a, for the lack of a better word, like a lead poisoning. If you have too much of it in your body, it can cause you to get sick. This is venomous. So when you get stung by this, it's venomous. So you can either your hand can swell up. Like I said, if you're allergic to it, it can cause paralysis, and so we try to make sure that they don't get. But they're not going to come out and get you, you know. But if you get stung by them when you shoot them and bring them back, they may sting if you're not careful with it.
But getting ciguatera fish poisoning or getting poked by a venomous spine are one of the least of our concerns. Fishermen may have some bigger fish to fry.
So they could easily decimate our fisheries if left unchecked. And so in studies that they've done in the Bahamas, a single lionfish on a small experimental reef has eaten 85% of the juvenile fish on the reef in a 5-week period. So if the lionfish is there for 52 weeks, it's wiped out the reef entirely and has prevented anything from settling back on. If that happens throughout the entire reef area, then we have no fish to grow up that fishermen can catch. There'll be no fish to grow up and take care of the reef, to eat the algae, to eat the things that need to be eaten.
So the big problem is they breed and eat like there's no tomorrow. But also affects our scuba and water sport industry. If we lose the colored fish, the forage fish, we lose the reef, then nobody's going to want to come here and dive, which will now affect tourism, our overall economy, because every diver and snorkeler that comes and visits the USVI has to stay in a hotel, eat in a restaurant, go buy t-shirts. So it has a trickle-down effect that affects everybody.
For Newsline 340, I'm Erica Bivens.
Thanks, Erica. Now, let's talk more about lionfish. Now, lionfish are still very new to many people in the territory. Some people have never even seen one. Do you have any additional interesting facts about lionfish?
Well, I first did a story on lionfish when they were just entering the territory, so we've learned a lot about them. But they have very few predators because they're not native to our waters here, although there are some potential predators. And I say that because in Honduras, where they've already experienced the lionfish issue for themselves, local divers are actually giving sharks a taste of lionfish. And the whole thinking behind that is that if sharks can kind of develop a taste for lionfish, and if they can see lionfish as a prey, essentially, these sharks can keep the lionfish numbers in check as far as the ecosystem goes, rather than just having human divers be their only predators. And also in the Bahamas and even here, we've heard local divers tell us that eels and even snapperfish have also been predators. They've been seen eating lionfish as well. So there are a few potential predators out there. Another interesting fact is that lionfish typically live about 15 years. They can reproduce year-round, and females can lay up to 30,000 eggs every 4 days. They're real beautiful fish. If you see them in the water, they have the floating fan-like fins, so they're a real popular aquarium fish, but those are just a few facts.
Now, there are other regions that have been struggling with recovering after invasions by lionfish. In some places, there's funding for divers who catch lionfish. Do you know if we have anything along those lines here in the Virgin Islands?
Well, there is some talk of legislation like that here, but a lot of our lionfish hunters here in the territory don't really think that's the best way. Because number one, if you're getting paid to hunt lionfish, or if you're getting paid per each lionfish that's caught, number one, it's going to be very hard to police that, and number two, what happens when that funding is gone. As it is right now, a lot of the divers out there, a lot of individuals are going out and catching lionfish on their own time, on their own resources, so they're not getting paid, and to hear them say that's not the best way to spend funding is pretty powerful. So instead, they really suggest that if we are given funding, to spend it on education, to spend it on public awareness, and let people know really what a lionfish is, where you can see them, what you can do if you're a diver and you spot one in the water, and really how to eradicate the lionfish.
Great, Erica. Thanks so much.